Hey there YouTube, this is Moodog815G coming at you with my first video on the new channel, and in this video we're going to be going over a bicycle that I purchased online at walmart.com and has a love-hate relationship with a lot of people. Mostly your tech road weenies and your elitists will poo-poo this bike and say, you know, it's garbage, it's this, it's that, or the other thing because they have fat bank accounts and daddy drives a Lexus and blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm here to say that that's not necessarily the case with this bicycle. Obviously, you can look at it now and probably not really recognize that it is a GMC DENALI Road bike. I purchased this bike on walmart.com, and I purchased it because of a couple of videos that I saw by Bike Geek, and Cole Fry has a couple on YouTube, and there's countless others, probably 30 other videos on YouTube that kind of did some close-ups of the frame and talked about its praises, and I've done my due diligence and my research. I am a bike mechanic. I used to be a shop rat, shop worker, and so now I kind of do this on my own. I'm in my early 50s, and I do this on my own locally here for friends, myself, and I actually make a little money on the side during the season. I live in Wisconsin, so that season's probably only a couple months, 3 or 4 months long, or 4 or 5 months actually. But I do tend to make a little bit of money in that season. That being said, I do know my way around a bike, and I do know what's quality and what's not quality. So I'm going to kind of pick the bike apart, show you what I replaced on it, talk about the frame, talk about future upgrades, talk about the, you know, obviously the philosophy of use for this bicycle, and kind of give you guys an idea on what I did and how you can actually do the same thing if you know how to turn a wrench and turn kind of what could be construed as a turd into a small nugget of precious metal. Nothing major to write home about. That being said, let's take a look at what I've done here. First of all, you'll notice the bike is completely naked. There is only one General Motors designation on the bicycle, and that is on the seat tube. I did leave the prismatic licensed for by GMC, I guess, or GM, on the down tube, just so it didn't lose all of its identity. The frame is 6061 aluminum straight gauge. In other words, no butting, no tapering at the joints between the top tube, the down tube, the seat stays, those types of things. It is straight gauge aluminum. I don't know how thick the walls are. I do know that the bare frame is relatively light. That being said, what are you getting for $169, the price that I paid for the bike originally? Well, it came with these gaudy stickers, and I did end up keeping them. I put them on my work bench top here. It did come with gaudy GM stickers all over it. I don't mind advertising for General Motors necessarily. Well, I do to a point, but the reason for me peeling the stickers off was because I like a cleaner look. So what I did with the bike, guys, is first thing I did was I had some road wheels laying around that I had taken off a bike I purchased from bikesdirect.com. They are double wall wheels, slight V, not really aero wheels, but slight V on them. I purchased, what's nice about these two, I should mention that they are quick release, serviceable hubs, all of that type of good thing. Quite considerably lighter than the wheels that came stock on the bike. Although the wheels that did come stock on the bike, albeit heavy, were sturdy, 36 spoke, nutted steel axle wheels that were on it. But that being said, about the wheels going forward, I did purchase Hutchinson nitro tires, and I got these off of Bike Nash Bar for 10 bucks a piece for the front and rear. I also replaced, I'm using stock caliper brakes, which may or may not be changed out. I haven't really ridden the bike yet. It's still sitting in the work stand, so I don't know what the performance of these brakes are. I know they were pretty easy to set up, and they do seem to be functioning well. I did go ahead and replace the stock pads for some Bell Binder 400, the Hinder Binder 400s. that I got off. I actually purchased those a while back for a tune-up I was supposed to do on a gentleman's bike that never showed up. So I had them sitting here brand new stock. Replaced those. Those seem to be a better rubber compound anyway. So that's pretty much it for the front part of the bike. You'll notice I have some components on here, some goodies on here. We'll go over those a little bit later. As far as the cockpit part of the bike goes, the front end, I have a Bontrager crowbar mountain bike bar on here with a 31.8 bulge for the clamp. This is the stock stem that came on the bike. It has a 31.8 bar clamp on it, so that fit real nice, worked out really well. I do like this bar. I may cut it down yet. I don't know. It's pretty wide. It's set up for a 29er. I think this is where this bar originally came from. But that was something I had on hand as well. I am using on the bike for the shifters, I'm using the stock Shimano Revo shifters. 3-speed in the front, 7-speed in the rear. Works out pretty good. Got them indexed nicely. They seem to be operating nicely. I'm using Tektro V brakes. These are set up for V brakes, which means that the pull on these is going to be drastically more than, say, your standard caliper pull brakes or the old cantilever mountain bike brakes. Didn't require that heavy pull or that really drastic pull when you grab the lever. So what I did to kind of compensate for that and make them feel a little bit not so rigid is I turned in the adjustment screw here to adjust the lever reach closer to the bar. So now they're feeling pretty good. They're feeling pretty sweet. All this is new plumbing in the front here, stuff I had on hand. The cable housings, the cables are all stuff I normally keep in stock for bike repairs throughout the season. So that's all new. The other thing that I replaced on the bike in the front here is I put a tange. I don't know if you guys want to pronounce it tangy or tange. Somebody can correct me if I'm saying it completely wrong. But it's a headset that I had here in my private stock, brand new, for a customer's bike or just to have on hand if I ever needed to replace it. It's a 1-inch threaded headset, very nice cup and race, very nice bearings, drastically better than the ones that were on here. The other ones worked, the other headset worked, but these are just going to be more durable bearings in the long run. You can see the crank is a stock unit. I didn't change that out yet. I may or may not. I may ride this crank for a little while. I will say that it is a 170 millimeter crank arm. It is 28, 38, and 48 small, medium, and large rings respectively. Steel ring, steel crank. Heavy, yeah, it's heavier than I'd like to have it. The bottom bracket is a multi-piece fixed cup, and it is serviceable, albeit heavy. I did pull it out of there, made sure there was enough grease in it, greased it up again, and reinstalled it and adjusted it. It seems to be butter smooth right now. I'm using a stock chain on here yet. The front derailleur I replaced, took the stock one off, which was a bottom of the bucket Shimano. I had this the Shimano triple. It was a 2300 series triple. The clamp was the correct size for the down tube, which everything worked out really well. Shifts really, really nice. Again, I mentioned I'm using the stock chain. Stock chain is a KMC unit, probably bottom of the barrel, a little bit wider than I like. I'll probably end up replacing that at some point with an 8-speed SRAM chain. The rear wheel is, again, the Bikes Direct takeoff with the Hutchinson Nitro tire, 700 by 28s. Chose 28s again for the, because my area where I live is a lot of potholes and a lot of really kind of rough roads, so I figured the 28 would give me a little bit more cushion. Stock calipers again with the upgraded brake pads. The rear wheel, I was an 8-speed, but this is a 7-speed. These are 7-speed shifters that I wanted to reuse. So I had a Sunrace nickel-plated 7-speed 12 to 28 gearing, and I had a, I don't know if you can see that with this camera, probably not. Sorry about the crappy camera, guys. I got too much money invested in other stuff right now. But you can see it inside here, there is a spacer. So I've got the spacer in there to compensate the extra width of the 8-speed free hub, so I could use a 7-speed on here and it would run in line with the drivetrain. So I did that. I also went out and purchased, this is another purchase I made, the Sunrace RDR 37 short cage road bike, rear derailleur. Sunrace is making some good stuff. They don't get their due. They don't get their proper dues. But I've used Sunrace components on customers' bikes that needed replacement derailleurs and things like that. Shimano tourney stuff is okay. This is probably a little bit higher level than the tourney. It has an aluminum. It's mostly aluminum alloy. And a little bit of steel, a slight amount of plastic, but the pulleys and everything are really nice. It's fully adjustable, and it seems to work out really nice with this drivetrain. You can see that the seat and seat post are all stock. This is pretty much the, I don't know what brand they call it, Vitesse or whatever it is, but this is the stock seat. Has quite a bit of padding in it. I don't necessarily know if I like that. I do have another seat here that I may pop on there. This is just a cheapo seat that I had laying around, but it has the comfort groove for the man parts there, which I'm going to probably like, as opposed to this being the solid top seat, saddle I should say, for all you bike guys out there. So the seat post is 27.2, pretty common size, has the standard a clamp on the top for the seat rails. Don't necessarily like that. That's a pain point for me, pain point for a lot of people. They loosen up, the seat spins, it just gets ugly. So I do plan on replacing the seat post with something cheap, maybe something I have in stock. I have to check my parts bin, and possibly that seat might be going. But all the other accessories that you see on the bike, the Bell Ferros lights that I have on this bike, I've had in stock for a while. There's a fall on the seat bag here, the seat bag itself. The Bell console computer, it's wireless. Nothing to write Aunt Edna about, but it's a Walmart special, $22 I think I paid for it a few years back. Also, there's a fall mirror. What I tried to do with this bike is go on the cheap as far as upgrading it, but still make it a viable, usable, everyday bike. Not to say, guys, that the stock configuration for the Denali was a bad setup or is not a proper bike for people to get going on. Being that I'm a bit more of an advanced and more aggressive rider, I wanted to see what parts I had on hand and how cheaply I could build this bike up to be a more viable road machine. Again, we're not talking road gearing, we're talking hybrid gearing, whatever. I'm not a big roadie. I was a mountain bike racer for a number of years in Wisconsin Off-Road Series. I no longer do that. But I wanted to have something that's a little bit more mild-mannered for just fitness rides. This is what I came up with. Now, would I recommend doing this to for your average rider? If you find one of these bikes online, or you find one of these bikes on Craigslist, a Denali, and you got some parts laying around, oh, heck yeah. I mean, these frames, the build of this frame, as you can see, I hope this camera's doing okay, guys, and I apologize if it's not. But you can see the build of this frame. The welds, while they're not world class, they are nicely done. It's robotically welded, I would imagine. You have thermoform tubing, so you've got box style top tube, and you can see that it's tapered on the sides. It has a box area on top. The down tube as well is thermoformed, and you can see how it's actually teardrop shaped with the narrowest part at the top and then teardrop towards the bottom in a curve. And you can see underneath here that the frame is actually gusseted at the head tube down tube junction, which I don't know if this bike necessarily needs a gusset, but it's there, and it's kind of cool that they thought about reinforcing that. The welds at the bottom bracket shell and seat tube down tube junction all look pretty good. I don't see any issues with any missing weld or open welds or any bead boogers laying around. You can see down here as well, same idea. There was a cheapo kickstand on that I removed, and that went into my parts bin. But everything on the bike checks out. I mean, the frame is lined nicely. Everything rolls nice and smooth. I think this is going to be a great bike, and I don't regret buying it one bit. So I'd like to thank Bike Geek out there. I'd like to thank Cole Fry, who now I guess is riding a giant Defy road bike. Good for you, good for you, Cole. And there's a couple other guys out there that I can't think of to shout out at right now. But they were instrumental in me purchasing this bike and doing this experiment to see what I could build from essentially nothing. And this is kind of where I do all my voodoo work. This is my shop area here, and my pegboard tools and my drill press and bench grinder and another toolbox and all this good stuff. So this is my basement work area. This is where I do my magic. And I love it. You know, what can I say? I enjoy it. It's relaxing. I'm getting ready right now after I turn off this video to start working on these wheels to get them pulled apart and check the grease in them again and readjust them and get them back on here. And tomorrow's supposed to be 60 degrees. I live in southeast Wisconsin, so we just had some snow today. It's April 2nd. That's all melted now, and we're going to see if we can get this thing out on the road tomorrow and put a few miles on it. And once I do that, I'll take some more video of it outside to give you guys a better idea what it looks like at the great outdoors. And I'll give you a little review on what I think of the frame, and if I think I need to change out any stem lengths or that type of thing, and what I think of the seat and all that good stuff. So, well, I appreciate you guys watching, and if you like what you see, there'll be more to come in this vein. Please like the video. If you want to subscribe, you can. There'll be more stuff like this, more drum videos. I'm a drummer as well, so I've got some new kits I want to showcase and do some playing, maybe some review videos on that. But thanks again for watching, and look for more videos from my channel. This is Moodog815G signing off. Thanks and peace, YouTube.